Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, welcome to our Tuesday, May 14th meeting for the Board of Directors for the Waynesboro Area School District. Great to see everyone who have joined us this evening. Let's go ahead and get started with the roll call.
Mrs. Straight here, Dr. Royer
Here.
Mr. Marvin,
Here.
Mr. Hamburger,
Here.
Mrs. Miles,
Here.
Mrs. Fortney.
Here.
Mr. Pence.
Here.
Mrs. Zimmerman.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Present. Okay. And so we move to the approval of tonight's agenda. Can we have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
No move. Second.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. Motion carries. So next we move to the approval of minutes from our April 23rd board meeting. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we move to our superintendent's report, and Dr. DeShawn will be doing the honors tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Let me go back. Thank you. Next motion is the approval of our minutes from the April 25th special board meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And now we move to our superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. On behalf of Dr. Sterner-Hein, I'll be reading the comments this evening due to her loss of voice. It's been quiet at the office today, except for the clicking of hills. Congratulations to the Washes girls track team for being the Mid-Penn champions and have an undefeated season. Outstanding job, ladies. Congratulations to the Washes boys baseball team for being the Colonial Division champs. Thursday, May 16th will be the Washes Awards Night. And Saturday is the Washes Prom at Penn State Mont Alto. Last Friday, WASD celebrated the Waynesboro Olympics. Huge congratulations to all the learners who participated and all the learners who assisted with the event. Special thank you to Matt Basso and Laura Richardson for organizing this event and for all the teachers and paraeducators who assisted. If you were there, it truly was a inspiring time, and we really do appreciate everybody putting the time and the energy in. And just to see those kiddos and learners engaged in that is really inspiring. So we appreciate that. WellSpan, in conjunction with the local EMT, sponsored a booster seat presentation for all second grade learners at Maury. Parents of second grade learners who participated in this training will be provided a free booster seat in an after-school session. The GED graduation will be held next Tuesday at Washes at 6 p.m. We also received a correspondence from the Waynesboro Community Concert Association, and we're just going to read a snippet of it here. It says, "I'm writing to express particular appreciation," and I am Sherry Snyder, she's the president of the association. I'm writing to express particular appreciation for the participation of Washington students in yesterday's closing concert of our 86th season, which featured the Dallas Brass. It was far and away the best of the season, made clear by extraordinary support from an enthusiastic audience of more than 500. An absolute highlight was the onstage presence of a dozen or more students, including band director Chris Ritter, performing a patriotic medley together with the Dallas Brass to open the second half of the program. It was a crowd pleaser, and it was just plain wonderful to see. So kudos to our band and Mr. Ritter and the Dallas Brass and the Waynesboro Community Concert Association. Thank you very much for that recognition. And last but not least, we'd like to welcome Mr. Nathan Maines. He is from the Pennsylvania School Board Association. If you could come on up to the podium there, sir, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Appreciate a couple minutes on your agenda. It's nice to see all of you. I came tonight to recognize one of your own in Mark Smith. Mark was a participant in our inaugural study program that maybe some of you have heard about it. Has he talked about it at all since he's been back? He probably looked exhausted for a couple of weeks after. I can tell you it took weeks to catch up on sleep, Mark. I don't know if you were the same, but we ran him pretty hard for a week, visiting and learning from folks over throughout Western Germany. Had a chance to meet with folks at the federal, state, and local levels of government, along with touring various schools and business. That was really impressive. Talked a lot about their programs that collaborate across the various types of schools. And I know Mark is going to be a member of one of the teams that presents several times, hopefully including at our upcoming conference in the fall. And all of that will be featured in one of our upcoming publications as well. So we have a recognition tonight that I wanted to come down and present to Mark. It just says, on behalf of the PSBA Trust Institute, recognizing Mark Smith for service benefiting Pennsylvania public education as a member of the inaugural Germany International Education Study Program, April 2024. Mark, thank you for being a part of it, and congratulations. And I also brought along, because I wanted you to remember your time in Germany, so you can explain to everybody why this is important stuff to have. But we wanted to replicate your German experience. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
There's a strudel in
I was thinking sausage.
there.
Yes, I do.
Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate it. And
Drop it. Feels like it's heavy.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And like I think I've mentioned before, a terrific experience, and looking forward to using what the positive that we saw, anything that we could use to kind of help our schools here, and not just this district, our region, the state even. So it was I'm sort of an education nerd, as people kind of know. So that trip was right up my alley. So I think that it is always great to see how good we have it here in this country, and some of the things that we could use to move us toward a more perfect union. And that starts with our young people. So now we move to any public comment? No public comment. We move to like the highlight of our board meeting tonight, which is our learner showcase. So
We are here tonight from Fairview Elementary. So Mrs. Shelby Seitz is one of our fabulous fifth grade teachers at Fairview. And Shelby has been really integral in some of the STEELS work that we are doing as a district, and has a very strong passion around STEM. And so we just brought a whole host of kiddos tonight who are terrified sitting in the front row that are going to share just one way that STEM has played out at Fairview this year. So huge thank you to the parents for getting them all here tonight, because this was an undertaking. And I'll just turn it over to Mrs. Seitz and the kids.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Seitz. I'm only going to take a minute because I really do want the focus to be on them. They've done an amazing job. And I mean, from top to bottom, the posters, the presentation, everything tonight is all them. So anyone who knows me knows that I do not have a green thumb, nor do I even particularly like gardening. My husband's definitely the gardener of our household. But I jumped on the opportunity to take on this process because I knew that it would provide hands-on learning experiences for the kids, and that they're going to learn so much more through those kind of experiences than anything I'm going to be able to provide for them. So I figured we could learn together. I started by creating hydroponic Google Classrooms to kind of give them some of the information, to front load some of it. They were able to take quizzes and master certain skills that they would need, like water quality, transplanting, harvesting, some of the different things they would be doing throughout the process. And then the fifth grade was able to take on this responsibility, 100% caring, maintaining for the hydroponic system completely on their own once they became the hydroponic farmers. The fourth grade's currently working on it so that they can come in the beginning of the school year, and we'll be able to start in September, getting the whole process going. We made a lot of mistakes along the way, and the students are going to talk about the mistakes because, again, that's how we learn, is by making the mistakes. And so through this whole process, they became resilient, critical thinking problem solvers, and I'm really proud of them. So. Okay.
Hydroponics is vertical farming. Hydroponics is the practice of growing food in a water-based mineral solution instead of soil. Plants in hydroponic systems still go through the process of photosynthesis. Traditional farming takes up a lot of space. In farming outside, you cannot control the sunlight in plants. You can't control how much water it gets. Many farmers use pesticides which can pollute the environment. Hydroponics is vertical farming. It does not take up as much space as traditional farming. It is an easier way to make sure the plants get the right amount of nutrients and the right amount of water. It can also help the environment.
What we do, we start by planting the seeds into the rock wool. We spray the rock wool 2 to 3 times a day. We wait until the seeds sprout in the nursery. It takes about 3 to 5 days. These are seeds and this is a rock wool. Transplanting. When we transplant, we pinch and use a twisting motion. Make sure the seeds are noticeable so that they grow correctly. Water quality. The pH is to check the pH level of the water. We use pH up at the pH first. We use this to test the pH. We want it to be around 6.0 to 7. The TDS meter is to check the nutrients of the water. So when we take the water from the hydroponic system, we will put it in the water for about 5 seconds and hit the hold button. And if the number would be low, like 500, then we can add some of our nutrients A and nutrients B. But if the number is around 700 or 800, then we won't have to add the nutrient. Harvesting. When you harvest the lettuce, you need to wear gloves. We twist and pull to get all the roots out. What we learned all about the process of photosynthesis. We learned about how hydroponics can be better for the environment than traditional farming methods. Sustainable, maximize space, versus water, higher yield, no pesticides or pollutants.
What we learned how to take measurements, record data, and analyze data. Tested pH levels, tested nutrient level with TDS meter. There are less variables in hydroponics than traditional farming. We have more control of the outcome. We can learn from our mistakes. After we transplanted, some plants grew, but some plants did not. We need to make sure we wash our hands before transplanting and carefully twist them into the wells without squeezing them. The plants didn't grow in the nursery tray the first time we tried. We did research and determined that the seeds in rockwool may not still be good from last year. We need to use new seeds each year and store rockwool properly. The plants were growing in the system for about a week, but then changed colors and started wilting.
We realized we were adding 700 to the TDS measurement, but we are only supposed to add 700 at the start when setting our goal. We added nutrients A and B, and our plants grew healthy.
So in case you can't tell, they've been practicing their timing down to the second because I told them how long they had. So they've been practicing, revising, and taking turns getting this ready. And huge kudos to Mrs. Seitz for turning this over to them, helping them figure out how to fail forward together. And as you heard, it very intentionally highlighting the problems that they found and how they've worked through to solve them. So really excited and really proud of all of them for all their work.
I can
Thank
just
you.
commend you, young lady. You had the audacious task of being first. And I could tell you were a little nervous, but you did a good job of overcoming it and getting through it. So well done, way to start off, and the rest of you did very well too. But it is always hard being the first one to talk in front of a group of people that you don't know. And I could tell that a little bit, but you did a great job of overcoming it. So well done. So we'll blame you then, Mr. McGuire, for that. So, but well done, all of you.
Well, it
So-
looks like you were growing lettuce, different, did you eat all of it? Was it good?
No.
No. Oh. Okay.
So if you bought lunch, then you ate it, but if you packed, you didn't.
So the hydroponic farm will grow 30 pounds of lettuce every 30 days when it's functioning at its highest level.
Wow.
And so we do donate that back into the cafeteria as it is ready, which is why they're very careful to make sure that they're using gloves and following all of those things. We get trays from the cafeteria. Yep.
Okay,
Very good.
wonderful.
Right. Very nice. Okay, any questions?
Great.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us this evening. Thank you, parents, for accompanying your child tonight. And feel free, we won't be offended if you choose to leave after this presentation, as we are not always the most exciting show in town. But
Thank you all for
thank
coming.
you, thank you. We appreciate
Do
it.
they want to get a picture? You guys want to get a picture together?
Yeah.
Yeah, give them.
Yeah, in front of the first choice. Yeah. You gonna do that, Rita?
He's coming.
I must also say that the best presentations are with visuals, and you had wonderful visuals tonight.
Like 98% of our audience.
Strawberries? I think the roadside stand out at the boulevard is, got pick your own strawberries now, I think.
She had some trouble.
I know.
The problem with picking is not getting down, it's getting back
It's
up.
getting back up, yeah, yeah.
Mark, they want a picture of you, I think.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
take your,
Oh.
Black.
take your plaque with you.
While we're waiting on photo bombs. Well, do you plan on attending the graduation?
Are you coming to graduation?
Are you coming to graduation?
On May 31st? No,
No.
okay.
Okay. James, yes, do you have a gown or do you need a gown?
It's what the
So
school.
They turned them in at the end last time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming as well.
I had you, because you told us you were coming.
This is a tough.
Dr. Lawyer, you're coming to graduation?
Oh, didn't I
respond? I'm sorry. I don't think so.
Yes,
Okay.
I responded on
And
Monday.
you have your gown, right?
Actually, I think my gown is still at the high school from last year.
Okay.
Yeah, they collected all of them last year, I thought.
Yeah, I need to check on that. Cause it was too hot and I wore a different one. But yes, I am coming and I have a gown.
For graduation, are you attending graduation?
Yes. Didn't I reply?
I'm just double checking.
Oh, okay, yes.
Oh.
And actually, in my gown, the district has.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
No idea. That was a good one. Okay, all right. So, wow.
No, this is not fair.
So we, right, so we follow the learner showcase with the 2024-25 budget.
Here's some pictures of you working, Eric.
Thank you.
All right.
And
Mr.
Mr. Erickson, I apologize. We didn't get a chance to coordinate ahead of time if you're moving the slides or I'm moving them, so.
I did place the clicker there. Are you
Oh.
able?
I
Yep.
have it. We'll give it a shot. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Talk about unfair funding, talk about unfair situations having to follow the students. Maybe we should talk about the order sometime and we can put the dull stuff first. So not that budgets are dull from my perspective, but nonetheless. So we like to present this information here. Again, this is, obviously it is a presentation for the board and really for the community in many ways as well. And we'd like to make sure that people are aware that this is a long process. This is not something that's done very quickly. This is typically going to take 8 to 9 months for the district to come through for a budget process. It affects everything that we do, obviously, everything from staffing and benefits, our projects, curriculum, things of that nature. So the proposed final budget, I think the last time we presented this to you we had about a $900,000 deficit. We have about an $800,000 deficit right now. What we were able to do is go through and make some tweaks and some changes. Some of those included, we actually run all of the personnel against the projected salaries for next year and the benefits for next year. That always changes a little bit because as we hire people and people are resigning or retiring, people change medical plans, things of that nature. So that always does change a little bit. Happily, it kind of went down a little bit, which is good for us. Now, again, that will change. It changes every month. We have people that move columns. We have people that are going to be moving steps. We're going to hire people at different levels and with different sets of medical benefits. So that just does happen on a regular basis. It still does have a 4.1% increase, which is 4.5 mils. I know no one wants to talk about this number, but this number is very high this year. Our Act 1 index limit this year would be 8 mils, believe it or not, just over 8 mils. Probably the highest it's ever been, and more likely that will go down in the next couple years. So again, we're anticipating use some of our fund balance. I probably needed to update that number on 1 million for the unassigned, for the capital projects, but our unassigned fund balance will cover the deficit at this stage. So what's driving the expenses? Well, a couple different issues. One is inflation. Inflation is affecting us just like it affects everybody. And again, we talk a little bit more about this, about where our ratios are and where our spending is compared to other peers out there. So whenever you have those challenges of inflation, you have challenges of increased enrollment for special ed. That has been a very difficult item. Obviously, there's a lot of need there. That requires staffing ratios to be able to meet that. A lot of the special ed world has specific staffing ratios that we have to meet. So if that enrollment number is going up, we are going to have to put staff in place to handle that. We also have some other items. Here we talk about curriculum. We talk about increased health insurance. That went up, I think it was 14 or almost 15% this year for our healthcare costs. Again, that is just indicative of what we have in terms of healthcare needs. We are self-insured, so we're trying to kind of take out the middleman from an insurance perspective, but still our costs are continuing to go up in that area. And then labor rates and teacher shortages are certainly causing problems. There was a point in time when we used to be able to hire a new teacher to the district at step one, no matter how many years of experience they had. And that has not existed for the last couple of years, especially since COVID. With fewer teachers coming out of the state systems, fewer teachers getting certifications, we're now hiring teachers on step for the most part. And that's just a result of being able to have to hire individuals. In the days when we had 40 or 50 people applying for a job, we're not seeing that anymore for most positions. So additional positions in the budget. Right now, we have several different positions. They're mostly special ed oriented because as we noticed before, we have that significant increase in enrollment in our special ed world. So we have 3 teachers, a program specialist, and then we have the paraeducators which support those classrooms you see listed down there. And then we have a certified school nurse. We actually did bring that person on really in the spring of this year, but we are covering part of their costs with medical access funds. So they provide services predominantly to our special ed world as well. So we're able to bill back and get some of the money back to cover their salary. So while that position's already in the district, it was really kind of new to the budget itself. So that's why we included it here. We do have a new math curriculum and we're looking for an elementary math coach as well to make sure that that program is really implemented fully and to make sure it is effective. Sorry. Mr. Erickson, I don't know if you can forward that for me or not.
Yeah.
Thank you. So in terms of the property mill increase, so one of the reasons why we're doing this is because, or our proposal is because, again, we're in the bottom 1 to 2% of spending per student. This is, again, part of the unfair funding from Pennsylvania. At the bottom there, you'll notice the PA Funding Commission has said that we need $25 million more to be adequately funded. That is a huge number when our budget's actually $80 million. You think about that. The state is telling us we need 30% more money. And theoretically, they're supposed to provide that money now. Will it happen? We don't know. They haven't done that for the last 30 years. Will they do it going forward? That's a great question. It's a great unknown question. Our tax rate, though, even because of that, our tax rate is lower than what the Act 1 index is, the inflationary index. Inflation, again, we mentioned earlier, has really been a challenge, and our ratios are a challenge. We try to do a lot more with less, and when you see some of the ratios and the salaries, we do more with less on a regular basis here in the district. You can move forward, Mr. Erickson. So the morning call came out just last weekend, actually, Lehigh newspaper. They came out with some metrics, and we actually pulled those metrics into this presentation here. A couple items here. The average Pennsylvania teacher, you can see, is being compensated at about 8.6% higher than what our teachers are. Again, that's on an average basis. But yet look at the ratios. We would need 52 more teachers to be at the average Pennsylvania ratio for student to teachers. So when you think about that, you know, our teachers are being paid, compensated, unfortunately, a little bit less. Why? Because of state funding for the most part. And we have more kids in the classroom. Why? Because again, we don't have enough state funding. We did this back in the fall the other year where we talk about how we have, from a spending per student perspective, there's about 30 school districts out there that are typically getting more state funding than we spend per student. So hypothetically, we could have more resources for students and have a 0 tax rate in our district here if we were getting funded like those 30 districts. But again, the state continues to reward other districts more than we do. Or more than us, I should say. If you can move forward, Mr. Erickson. Thank you, sir. This is just a slide we actually did show you last fall. Interestingly enough, we compared ourselves to other districts that are comparable in size and with comparable economics. At that point, it was 53 teachers. So 52, 53 teachers. And again, if we wanted to be a normal district in terms of ratios, we would need about a little over more than 50 teachers. And again, those are examples of what we could do with those additional positions. Move forward, sir. Thank you. Support staff is another area. This is something that we did as a district, again, to make the finances work years ago. And we've been able to start adding to that a little bit from a full-time basis over the last couple of years. So we've appreciated the fact that every year we've been able to usually hire another 2 or 3 positions and move forward with that for a full-time basis. But really, we're at the stage where 64% of our support staff are not receiving medical benefits. That does save us a lot of money, but that also then results in a lot of turnover. And you'll notice there, we have about a 33% turnover in our paraprofessional world. So you can imagine throughout the year, we're asking our teachers, our support staff, and our admin continually hire and retrain new people throughout the whole process. That has an effect, especially when you think about those teachers who have more students in their classroom than what the average teacher would have in Pennsylvania. So we're asking them to do more with less, and then to have this continual turnover situation here that's creating the problems there as well. Go forward, sir. So our revenues, when you look at our revenues, about half of our revenues are coming here locally, and the lion's share of that is all going to be real estate taxes. And again, I know it's not a popular topic. Certainly, if the state legislature were ever to change the mechanism, I think there'd be a lot of people who would be very happy about that, but this is what we have to work with today. And so our real estate taxes are really about 40% of our total revenue. So if that number does not move in a given year, all of the increases that are caused from inflation, collective bargaining agreements, staffing with enrollment, with special ed, would all have to theoretically come from the state. But the state doesn't just necessarily give you more money. They have a formula, they give you a little bit more money, but are they going to give you enough money to cover all of those expenses? That becomes the real challenge. So if our tax rate does not change, the unfortunate part is we have very little money to be able to compensate. So that would mean our student to teacher ratios would go even higher. We would probably become less competitive with salaries. Next one, sir. Thank you. So the next 3 slides are really just some examples of what this has looked like from a local tax perspective for the local homestead farmstead property. The first one we give you is an example of a retired person. And what this shows you is really what the median assessed home value is. Remember, that was 1961 values. So what we do is then we take that over to the market value. So the market value uses the common level ratio. So an individual's home, which is worth about $219,000, that is the median house value for people that are owner occupied and who are claiming the homestead farmstead. And what you would see there is, for example, their tax was 1820, and then you could see what their tax rate was moving up over the last 3 years. And again, that is lower than inflation. It's unfortunate that it has moved up, but it is lower than inflation rate. And now this example here, of course, they're not paying an occupation tax. If we go to the next slide, you'll see that there's an individual who was paying, for example, 2 $15 occupation bills. And you could see that that tax rate changed a little bit in 22, 23. The other years would remain the same as well. Now, one thing you'll note here in these slides is the homestead farmstead. That homestead farmstead number was pretty much flat all the way until 22, 23. That was the first increase we really saw since they put this process in. So that actually helped a little bit. So while our tax rate went up a little bit, that additional relief actually helped those who were owner occupied. We're seeing the same thing now coming up into this year. There's actually more money coming into the homestead farmstead from the state. That's a good thing. And that by default. So for example, a 4.1% increase is taking about 1% off of that. So it actually feels like a 3.1% increase to those who are owner occupied. Now, of course, that doesn't apply to businesses, but that would apply to people who are owner occupied. And that's about 7,800 residences in our community. And then on the next slide, if you don't mind, sir. On the last one here, this is an example of somebody who had the 2 occupation tax bills. Again, to kind of show that total tax picture and show what that was. Theoretically, in that year, actually, that person actually had a slight decrease in taxes, and then it went back to the normal tax changes with the mill rates. So in summary, on the last slide here, really, again, we continue to look at our budgets. We're always going to look at our budgets. We always look at staffing. We always make those decisions. We're really not sure what the state's going to do. We'd love to see the state pass a budget much earlier in the process. We can give you a lot more information. We can make better decisions, but usually the state passes a budget after the school districts pass their budgets. The PA Funding Commission has said we need $25 million. The theoretical plan would be to fund that over 7 years. Will it happen? We don't know. We don't know at this stage. And again, that would be an economic benefit to this community. Not only would that help educationally, but again, again, I'm on the business side. We talk a little bit about economics as well. That has a benefit to this community because if that money comes in here, what that will do is ultimately, it's mostly going to be salaries and benefits. It's going to be the people that live in this area, that work in our buildings. They're going to the local, physicians and such for their medical costs. They're going to go ahead and they're going to spend their money in this area. That's going to have a benefit. You can imagine the multiplier effect of having that additional funds here in this community. So again, from my perspective, in many ways, it's not only an educational benefit for our students, but also an economic benefit for the community. Again, related to the state funding. And that's all I had. Thank you.
All right. Questions?
Eric, just briefly, like who qualifies for homestead for that?
Sure. Homestead, farmstead, what you do is you have to apply, you have to be you have to live in that residence itself. So if you, you don't have to own your own home, but if you live in your home, you have, you can go ahead and apply for that homestead. And then right now that's about $120 benefit, so to speak, of what you see on your bill. Next year will go to about $143. That number is going to vary a little bit based on whatever the final mill rate is set at. But again, we probably have about almost 7,800 individual residences in our community that take advantage of that.
Any homeowner?
So any homeowner, right? But it's only on your primary residence. So, and it's the same amount. It doesn't matter if, if somebody has a house that's, market value of $100,000 or a market value of $300,000, regardless of what that market value is, the homestead farmstead reduction, that relief is going to be the same dollar amount. Actually, that's just the way the mechanism was set up. So I know we've had that question come up in the past where people will say, well, I pay more in taxes. I would like a bigger benefit. Well, I understand that, but this is the way the method was set up by the state. One thing we also do like to talk about a little bit is senior citizen tax rebate. If you know, that actually went up this last year. So they increased the income levels to $45,000. And so senior citizens who make up to $45,000 can have up to $1,000 of their property taxes relieved by the state. The state will actually go ahead and give them a rebate. Now it's income based. I think the minimum is 380. So if you're right at the top at 45, you're not going to get 1,000. You're going to get 380. But if you're at the lower level, you could get up to $1,000 of tax relief.
And how do people get that particular one, the one that's based on income?
Sure. And I hate to say, go out to this website because it's the worst thing to say to people who might, have a challenge going out to a website. But you can go out to the website. PA has a website out there that they can fill out the form. I know oftentimes, and again, I would hope Representative Shovel would not get mad at me, but we've referred people down to his office to have them help fill out the forms down there as well. And I think they've been very helpful in terms of doing that as well. But we had some metrics. I'm going to try to remember, I'm doing this off the top of my head. The data is always going to be a couple years old. But the last time we looked at the data, there was about 1,300 people in our community. They actually have the data by school district. 1,300 people in the community, and I think the average was about $770. And also it applies to people that rent as well, I should say. So even if you rent, if you're depending on your income, you can actually get money back. So it's not technically on your taxes, but it's on your rent.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Right, and let's move to student board report. Mr. Marvin's going to share.
I'll do
Alexis
my
and
best,
Mary are not with us tonight.
Alexis and Mary impression. I don't think I bring the same exuberance that they do. But there's one point where I will hopefully channel their indignation. So this week is Prom Spirit Week. Because junior and senior prom is this Saturday at Penn State Mall in Alto. And I guess this past Friday, they had a pep rally where they did the prom court was announced, and each class got to participate and get everyone excited for prom. So that seemed a lot of fun. Where I'm going to channel their indignation is because they also wanted to talk about the Waynesboro Olympics that happened. But Dr. Deshawn channeling Dr. Rita Sternheim took that glory from them. So but they were also wanting to comment on how it was special education students across the district, across all the schools got to participate, ice cream, face paint, and dance, and all other activities. And also, again, thank you to the volunteers that helped make that possible. Some academics to promote was the WASD Science Olympiad team won 13 medals at the state tournament that was held at Penn State Altoona. They also had 2 state championships, Mr. Tyler Rooney and Caden, I apologize, I want to say Sharecraw. Thank you. Who got first place in Crime Busters. Keystone exams are happening for literature, biology, and algebra for this week and next week. And then something else to celebrate, they did the Quad A meeting for the athletes this past Friday, where athletes were recognized both for their achievements in sports as well as the classroom. And they also tried to recognize 3 sport athletes who competed in a sport in every season. So that is what our student reps wanted us to know this evening.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Let's move on to board reports. And first, policy committee, anyone?
I think we'll have to waive that summary. I was not at the meeting, and Dr. Sterner-Hines certainly can't give that summary this evening. I would have probably prepared better if I had thought about it, but she wouldn't be able to. So how about if I get a summary out via email?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Academic.
Academic committee met today. Our next meeting is not going to be scheduled until September. We talked today about steels. Dr. Deshawn presented an update of where the science standards are going. You heard Megan, reference that at Fairview. Can you just say one more time what STEEL stands for?
Yeah, it's science, technology, engineering, environmental literacy standards.
Okay, thank you.
Say
But
that 5 times really fast.
that's something we're gonna be working on. We also talked about an update on the iReady math program and when that teacher training is going to occur. We talked about the Leader in Me program that's been implemented at the middle school, and at the high school. Diane McCallum talked about that. We talked about professional learning opportunities. And I believe that is it. And, again, Dr. DeShong did a great job with the math program. You know, he did approve, so we're looking, forward to that, to that implementation.
Thank you. And facilities.
Facilities has not met, since the last board meeting. Our next meeting is next week, Tuesday, the 21st at 5:30, here in this room at Clayton Ave. And the budget, we met last night, and what we talked about is what Dr. Holtzman talked about 2 minutes ago. Although he did not get the same roaring applause that the students did beforehand.
I feel like it was week 7. Have the good part of that presentation.
Okay. Okay, thank you, everyone. Moving to our first item of business, student waiver. Dr. DeShong.
Yeah, you guys saw that on the Friday folder. I don't know if anybody had any questions about it. Given the circumstance of the situation, the student is set up to work with virtually to finish the year out. The student actually is coming here on some days of the week to work because the student is in special education. So,
Okay, so the motion is to approve the student waiver.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, personnel, Dr. DeShong.
so we have a heavy duty personnel list there here this evening. So we'll try to get through it here pretty quickly. We want to thank Mr. Herb for his service to the Waynesboro Area School District. He's been in the biology department for a little bit, and he is moving on to another position in another district, but we thank him and wish him the best. We have 6 other support staff resignations, most of them all paraprofessionals. And again, it's kind of like we hire some, and then it's kind of like not a right fit, or they don't like it, and then we Mrs. Gildee and some of the other folks, they go back to the board again. And on the next page, you'll see that we are hiring like 8 other ones, or that we're replacing them. So we're asking for your approval for those. We have some reassignments. Ellen Holtzman she graciously stepped up to take a speech position that was much needed for this year, and just reassigning her back to a special education teacher. And also Penny Seitz, who was a tender secretary at the senior high. She's going to be spending some time with us here at Clayton as the new child accounting and registration assistant. We also are seeking approval for Ashley Rock, who is in the house. Do you smell what the rock got cooking? And that's literal, because she is going to be working for food service. So do you smell what the rock's got cooking? Ashley had the opportunity yesterday, or today, we got to hook up today a little bit and have a conversation about the interview chair, did we not, Ashley? Okay, so are you ready for your 10-minute speech? Go ahead and step up.
Hi, I'm Ashley Rock, so I just want to thank you guys for this opportunity. I've been in food service for 12 years here at the district, so I look forward to my new role in food service and to continue to improve food service department for the Waynesboro School District, so thank you.
That wasn't 10 minutes, but that's okay.
You still have 9 minutes and 45 seconds left. We just gained that, so you're making everybody all right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate that. There's some changes in support staff. Like I said, there are 8 support staff that folks we're seeking your approval for. We have some summer lunch cafeteria staff that we're seeking your approval for. There's a list of those folks there. And then on the one sheet, there is appointments for credit advancements in summer school for WAMs and WASHs. There's a list of folks here, from teachers to paraeducators to counselors and so forth. They're all listed there. Also a team leader appointment, a homebound instructor. We're seeking your approval for, and that's a person that goes in, they have up to 5 hours a week to work with a student who would need support at home because of a certain circumstance or situation that student might find themselves in. School nurses, there's 2 on there sharing the position. Some paraeducators for extended school year, which is around special education, and some summer maintenance, cleaning, and tech student workers that are also listed there. Also in the house tonight, extracurricular staff appointee, we're seeking your approval for Emily Dickey here, for all school production director. Do you want to do anything like, dramatic wise? You don't have to. Do
I mean, I
you have a
feel like
little
you
like mini
should.
drama that you were gonna do for us? Thank you, Ms. Sticky. Some math literacy, camp folks, substitute staff supports. And then we get to our professional staff, pages here. Haley, Roan at special education position out of Maui. She's doing a very nice job there for us. She was, had stepped in to, and then she's done such a nice job that we want her to step in and replace the one, individual we had in there. So we're asking for your approval for Haley. Mackenzie R. Copenhaver, special education at the senior high school. She would be replacing one of the other teachers that left the district. And Tyler, is it Robinstein? Robinstein. For those, well, I think we shared this already. We had a lot of musical candidates, candidates. And this was a gentleman, a lot of good ones. We really did, but he was the one that got the nod of the hat, or the tip of the hat, or nod, whatever. He's going to be spending some time out at Fairview Elementary School. And then Jessica Walker, speech language pathologist. We appreciate her wanting to join the team here for us. And last but not least, parlez-vous français? Oui. Elsie Keegan, and that means, do you speak French? Yes. That's about the extent of it for me. And do you know any more French, Mrs.
Not tonight.
German?
Not tonight.
Can you say welcome, Kelsey,
Also,
Elsie Keegan in German for everybody?
ja, willkommen, Kelsey. Oh, willkommen, Mademoiselle Keegan. Yeah.
C. C means yes in Spanish, right?
Spanish.
So we want to welcome Elsie as our French teacher. We're asking for your support for all these improvements.
Thank you. So the motion is to approve the personnel as listed.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So no. Okay, thank you. We next move to the WASD support staff agreement.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Smith. I'm again speaking on behalf of Dr. Stern-Hine this evening. So this agreement has been reviewed by the WASD Personnel Committee, and it was prepared by Dr. Holtzman and Ms. Gildee for your approval. It's basically the support staff kind of contract, all the nitty-gritty details in there about, healthcare and pay and salary and things like that.
Okay. So motion is to approve the WASD support staff agreement.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions? Dr. DeShawn? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Can I make a comment?
Sure, yeah.
I just wanted to thank you for all the hard work that went into that. I do recall a time when I'm not even sure that we had one. With all that information in for the support staff. I think you guys have done a great job with that and with onboarding, and also offering the professional development opportunity for support that you're doing this summer. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Sincerely, we appreciate it. I mean, I can tell you a lot of people have their hands in this. Ms. Gildee's been great with this. Sharon Levick, Jane Hellman, several other people have just really been involved in this process. That what you see today. I mean, it really has improved it. There's a few changes in there, but you could tell it seems like fewer changes every year now, compared to some.
It's
prior
so
years.
comprehensive. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just really a good document.
Thank you.
Next, we move to the WellSpan school physician contract.
Yes, this is a renewal of our annual school physician contract. Our school physician is on site during home football games, assists our school nurses with standing orders, provides physicals as needed, and serves in consulting capacity.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the WellSpan school physician contract.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Conflicted.
Mhm. One abstain, thank you. Next, we move to the school dentist contract.
This is also a renewal of our annual school dentist contract. Our school dentist provides dental screeners for learners who do not have access to dental services and serve in a consulting capacity.
Okay, so a motion to approve school dentist contract.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions?
Where's Blue Ridge Dental Care? Is it in town here?
Here it's Summit.
Oh, it's in Blue Ridge Summit. Okay. Curious.
All right, okay, so, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. And next, we move to the, Phoenix Physical Therapy contract for the 2024-25 school year.
It's also a renewal contract to provide physical therapy to learners as design, excuse me, is designed in their IEP in the Waynesboro Area School District.
So the motion is to approve the Phoenix Physical Therapy contract for 24-25 school year.
To approve.
Second.
Any questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? As we continue renewal night, next, the River Rock contract for 2024-25.
Two more to go. So this is a renewal of our AEDY and alternative education contract with River Rock for learners who are policy violators or need additional special education supports.
Okay, so a motion is to approve the River Rock contract for 24-25.
Approve.
Second.
Questions?
I had a question about that. It says in there that we pay $63 per diem cost for transportation. I thought we paid like, what is that? What are we transport? What are we paying? Cause
I
I
can
thought
answer
we
that.
transported the people there.
Yeah, we transport to the Carlisle location,
Okay.
but, or no, I'm sorry.
To the
Yes,
Newville.
we transport to the Carlisle location, but the Newville location, they provide the transportation. So that's when we have students that go to the Newville location, we pay for that.
We pretty much use all 5 of our slots for the,
Yeah, we do. We have, currently have all 5 of our slots filled. I just looked at it just earlier this week, over the year, throughout the year. So kids can kind of go in and then they might transition back to us.
Mhm.
So over the course of the year, we've had about 10 about 10 students attend River Rock throughout the year.
okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And next, we move to Laurel Life Shared Funding Services Contract for the 24-25 school year.
This is also a renewal of our contract for on-site counseling services at all school buildings. 6 school buildings, counselors from Laurel Life are scheduled to meet with learners in school and are billed via medical access and private insurance.
So the motion is to approve the shared funding contract with Laurel Life for on-site counseling services, 24-25 school year.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, Laurel Life Transition Classroom Agreements for 24-25 school year.
Yes, this is a renewal of our contract for K-12 trauma-informed classrooms at the elementary, middle, and high school level. This in-house contracted service allows learners who have more pronounced emotional needs to be serviced at Waynesboro Area School District with the hopes of transitioning back into the regular classrooms.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the continuation of Laurel Life transition classrooms at, for what, Washes, Whams Elementary, and for the 24-25 school year.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions?
These are the inspired classrooms.
That's my question, yeah.
Is it year to year now at this point?
Any other questions? Okay, all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, Franklin County Career and Technology Center, proposed budget for 24-25. Holzman?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So this is the annual agreement that we have for Franklin County. This is to approve for our costs for the career tech program as well as, if you remember, we have some roof costs that we're going to probably incur this year as well. So we do have both of those items in the budget for this coming.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the Franklin County
Excuse me.
Career and Tech Center's proposed budget, as presented.
Second.
Questions?
No, just a comment. I think you mentioned a portion of that is for the roof replacement and that will come out of our capital budget. Fund balance. So since that's a one-time cost for a capital purpose, we're gonna try and take that out of the capital budget fund. So the enrollment or the tuition is for increased enrollment, which is a good thing. But the one-time piece, we want to take out of one-time funds.
I appreciate that, Mr. Marvin. You're right. That way, we're not trying to adjust some other program or taxes because of that. Yeah.
And we have the highest number of students in the county, I guess, that attend career. Franklin County Career and Tech. Don't we have the highest?
I think Chambers.
Chambersburg has
They
one.
do.
Chambersburg has
Okay.
it, yeah.
Actually, somebody else, although Chambersburg isn't there?
So it does a 3-year average and we are the second highest. We're at 18.77%. Shippensburg's a little behind us. They're closer to 16%. So they're getting close to us. And then Chambersburg has the highest at almost 39%. What they do is they do that as a 3-year rolling average because there was a point at one time when, potentially a district could change its numbers one year just to have a budget advantage, which would push cost everyone else. And now it's a 3-year average.
We probably have kids in our district who are probably on a waiting list.
I see some heads hot, excuse me, heads nodding, excuse me.
There
I would
is.
assume they would, yeah.
There is, but they can choose another
Program.
program if they want.
High school, but I mean, I know that I was talking to our counselors earlier this year that some of the like the shops that were interviewed for this year, maybe we had 2 slots available. We had 5 kids that would interview for that. So, I mean, they do fill up very fast.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Move to fire alarm inspection services.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So annually, we have our fire systems inspected. It's a requirement, and then they go through identifying any problems or issues. We currently have 2 vendors that we're doing that with. About half of them are with one company, half are with the other. We'd really like to transition all of them to the same company. And we did put some notes out there for you in the admin section there. But we think this would be an advantage to us as a district to have one vendor who's handling that. They're a local company. We've used them for a couple of years on the other ones. They actually did install work on several buildings for us as well. It was very satisfactory.
So a motion is to approve the 5-year agreement with TelePlus.
Second.
Questions?
So what are the other 2 buildings? We're not approving anything for them?
They're already doing it. I'm sorry. We're already in a multi-year agreement with them. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Dr.
so
Wood.
this
I
is
should have
moving
put,
those
I should
other
have pointed that
4.
out. Correct. These are bringing the other 4. And actually Clayton would be really new because we just had the system installed last year.
Right.
Yeah. But
And
you're,
we're not like reneging on anything. We're not losing any money by switching.
no, ma'am. No, we just had a 1-year agreement with them. So, correct. I should have put those in the notes, but thank you.
Yeah, we had talked about this in facilities. I think it was a couple of meetings ago. And so we, if I'm remembering our discussion, we were kind of in favor of moving this direction more just in terms of efficiency. So we're not going to one company for one building and a separate company for a different building. So to kind of keep everything kind of efficient and in one house is kind of what our discussion looked like at the facilities committee level.
Okay. Thank you. Any other?
And this is one
Yeah.
service you want to have. Yes, absolutely.
First duty, keep students and staff safe and secure. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, now, wheelchair accessible van. Dr. Osman?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So we have one wheelchair accessible van now. We bought that used several years ago. It's a 2014 van. We really have a need to have two for many different reasons. Sometimes the demand is for more than one. Sometimes that vehicle might be in the shop. And so we still have that need to have a second vehicle that could handle those situations. But what our recommendation or request is really is to ask for approval to buy another used vehicle up to $55,000. The good news is about this is that we can actually use medical access funds to reimburse ourselves. So this won't really come from our money, so to speak. It'll come from the money we've earned through the medical access program itself. So we actually just did that with the other two vans. If you remember, we had approved those special education vans earlier this year. And so we submitted the paperwork to get reimbursed, and they're approving that process as well. So this would follow those same lines to get that money back to us and be able to provide and have a second wheelchair accessible van.
You certainly don't want any ADA problem.
No.
And this will be used for Alma's house?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it could be used for anywhere in the district that we have a need. Yes, ma'am. Yep, but that would, Alma's house is certainly one of
Yeah,
those
why,
places.
I mean, we had talked about that and then I kind of like lost track of that, but I mean, I know it impacted their program if they only had one.
Yeah.
The amount of students that they could have. Or was.
And again, it can be very useful for everything from, very close field trips or things of that
Yeah.
nature, or trips into the community that some of those programs pursue.
So the motion is
So moved.
to approve. All right, thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay, any other questions for Dr. Osman?
No, I'll just comment on the process. By approving an upper limit, it does give our team the opportunity when they find a good, sort of like a good vehicle, they can move quickly without having to find a vehicle and then come back to us. And by the time we approve it, then the vehicle might have been purchased or
Right.
sold already.
Yeah.
So we've done this process for a number of our vehicles, if I'm remembering. We did the box truck. I think it was a forklift and a couple of other vehicles as well. So I think this is a helpful process to kind of give an upper limit in terms of what we're looking for in terms of a budget, even though these are reimbursed with medical access funds, but it gives the flexibility to move quickly on a vehicle that they find.
I appreciate that, Mr. Marvin. And just, in terms of disclosure, we will have to put out an RFP for the first step, but oftentimes we get no responses back.
You
But
can also
because,
check through CoStars.
right, and that could be an option too, but because these are, medical access would be federal funds, we're still required to do an RFP at this dollar amount. But
But you only have Warrior.
But really, and again, we're asking for a used vehicle for this price. Most people are not going to fit that bill in terms of applying for a used vehicle. We just have never had success through the RP process, but we have to follow that process. And then we can go out and identify that vehicle that makes sense in terms of cost and value.
Any additional questions? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm from the federal government and I'm here to help.
Thank you.
Okay, and next, this quadrant, postage meter leases.
Yes, sir. Things that we never thought we'd have discussions about in board meetings.
Okay.
63 months,
It's an odd schedule. It's,
Be interesting.
it is.
5 years is 60, right?
So it is. So our postage meters are up. They're actually up, believe it or not, coming at the end of this month. So, but we were pursuing a couple different options. If you notice there, we went out to obtain a couple different quotes. We had 3 of them. This is the lowest responsible quote by far. It will change the vendor that we're using, but that's okay. We're going to go down that process. We're also potentially, we have 2 buildings that we looked at volume. So one of the things we did is we said, how much volume are we putting through these machines? And so we looked at that and we actually had 2 of our elementary buildings that just do not have volume that justify having a machine there. Now we'll go ahead and take care of their postage. We'll figure out the process, either using some stamps or having it send it to one of the other buildings. But again, through the analysis process, we just did not see enough volume in those buildings. Literally on the regular mail side, it's 1 or 2, 3 items per day. It just doesn't justify having the machine there. So we
These all
can't.
come here.
Yeah, it used to all come here. So I think again, we'll have some flexibility with the buildings that do have a higher level of volume, but those other two elementaries just don't seem to have the volume right now. And that's really a good thing. I mean, they're not mailing as much out as they might have at one point in time. I know that, I think, and again, that would be something that probably our elementary principals could talk about, but I think at one point we did have higher requirements for mailing out. And I think some of that's changed a little bit, which is, yeah. So, and that's reflecting a little bit probably in our volume. That's why we don't really need a machine in every building. So again, we're going to get some savings because we're not having machines, but then we're also put it out for quote and taking the lowest item.
And we can't get a 63-month deal with the post office.
So the motion is to approve the attached postage meter leases.
So moved.
Second.
Any other questions?
No one's gonna lick those stamps.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, so next we move to funds commitment letter for the middle school asbestos mitigation project that's going to take place in a month or so.
We're hoping. It depends on whether the board approves that tonight. Yes, sir. It does, but that is the goal. So, so as you know, we're, obviously we'd like to do an asbestos project this summer. This is something that got delayed from last year. We really wanted to do it last year, but we just had so many projects on the plate last year. We didn't think we could manage it very well. So nonetheless, we have that project coming forward here later on in the agenda. But one of the items we said we were applying for, that is a grant. So we're going to try to get some money through the grant. We don't know the level of success. I would like to set the bar low because what we're hearing from the people that run the grant is even though asbestos is one of the items in the grant, they're already telling everybody they're focusing on lead and water. But nonetheless, we're going to apply for it. One of the requirements is that we have to have a funding commitment. And again, we were planning on using capital funds for this project. So this is not coming out of the general fund, it's coming out of our capital fund itself. So the idea would be that we have this commitment letter is approved by the board. That's a required submission as part of this grant application. The grants close, it's either the end of this month or the end of June. It just opened up May the 1st. So we won't have an answer probably until, if we pursue the project, until the project's probably essentially done. But again, a needed project for the buildings. If we get the grant money, that's wonderful. That helps to offset the cost.
So the motion is to approve the matching funds commitment letter pertaining.
Second.
Questions, additional questions, or
Free money's good.
Yeah.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
And connected with the, asbestos contract with PSC.
So speaking of the asbestos project, so this is the first kind of phase of it. There's really two phases. The first phase is the mitigation of the asbestos itself and the flooring. The second step is actually coming through with the flooring itself, which is the replacement flooring. That's going to come to you at the next meeting, most likely. We're still waiting on final pricing. That's going to be two different vendors, two different companies that we have. So we did put this out to bid. We received this bid that came in here. It's been reviewed by the solicitor, the architect throughout the process here to make sure that everything was ticked and tied. Obviously with asbestos, it's an important type issue. Want to make sure that we're following all the rules of the road. One thing we will note is that, for example, in the science classrooms, there certainly is asbestos underneath the cabinets on the walls. But that's in place underneath the cabinets. That's not an issue, and that's not stopping us from doing all the other projects in the building. That's one of the reasons why we're looking at this project. So we don't have an indoor air quality issue with the building, but what we do have is a lot of projects in the building that really have been stopped at this point for the last several years because of the asbestos flooring. So everything from large areas in classrooms that have torn carpeting, which we cannot replace or remove because it has an asbestos mastic, to science rooms that need to be reconfigured in the middle with new tables and such so that they can change their programs around. We've had bathrooms that need to be repaired with drain lines that we, again, require us to remove asbestos to get to the drain lines. So really, that's probably the number one, I hate to say this, but that's really the number one reason that this has stopped us from pursuing several different projects in that building as those needs have come forward. So we knew we'd have this issue to address in several years. We're coming back to asking for your approval. Now, and again, back in the science classrooms, one of the places we said, we have to stop somewhere because if you remove all those cabinets are 50 years of age in those science classrooms. They all work today. They're not in the 100% condition, but they do work well today. Were we to remove all those as well, you probably would increase the cost by at least another $200,000 or more, because cabinets for science rooms are ridiculously expensive. So we're not pursuing that direction. So again, certainly going to save a little bit of money from doing that side of it, or not doing that side of it, and just focusing on the other areas at this point. Again, this would come from the capital project fund. The idea was the project would start very early in June, obviously, and we've coordinated with the building as well.
Okay. So motion is to approve asbestos abatement contract with PSC EHC acquisition.
So moved.
Second.
Any additional questions or any questions for
Is this
Dr.
gonna include the carpeting in the auditorium eventually?
Yes, ma'am.
Which is
Yeah. And that's the
abysmal.
one, no, it's a great question, Ms. Miles. So the auditorium carpeting, actually, believe it or not, that's one of the actual spaces that does not have asbestos in it, which is
Oh, really?
wonderful. But we do want to replace the carpeting in there because it is not aged well. for
Tripping
40 or
hazard.
50 years. Correct. So when we have the flooring quote come in, the flooring quote will be to replace the carpeting in the auditorium as well. But
Okay.
again, that one does not have asbestos.
That's
That's the
good.
one space that we don't have, but it does need to be done. Again, another step. Our thought process was we knew we had to replace the carpeting in there, but we were kind of waiting until we had more of a comprehensive project to
Right,
do
right.
versus a small one. Yeah.
Eric, we
Yes, ma'am.
did reface those cabinets though, didn't we?
Some of them we did reface and repaint in the
Okay,
science area.
because I know
Yeah.
when we did facility tours, we were appalled at the science cabinets, so I knew they had to have done something.
We did some work in there, and then there's some of the tables that will stay in place. So the student tables get removed because of the asbestos, but there's actually some tables that actually stay in place. And actually, some of those were refinished by some of our science teachers. They actually took the time to refinish them themselves and then kind of put the pressure on us to refinish other ones. So, but they look remarkable. For stuff that's 50 years old, it
Yeah.
really isn't in horrible shape at all.
Oh, we're frugal, we know that, right?
We are, yeah, we are. Make use of, yep, it's good.
Any other questions? We'll vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
We're getting there.
Ooh, aren't they?
We're getting there. Okay, so next we move to the purchase of replacement science tables and chairs for Williams.
Yes, sir. And again, this is part of the project. We're removing all the tables with the asbestos flooring and such in top areas. So we're getting rid of that in the science areas in the middle school. And then we're replacing that with tables and chairs. So it's like a two-person table, two-student table with the two chairs. Gives them more flexibility. We did go through the process where we checked
Yeah.
with the principal and the teachers. They came through and selected what they thought would be the right item. We took it out and we bid it out and found 3 different companies to bid it. This is the lowest bid. Surprisingly, the bids came in very close. So this is the lowest bid. I have to tell you, the other 2 companies were really close on it at the end of the day. So that was good to see, but nonetheless, this would replace all those classrooms.
Okay, so motion is to approve the purchase of replacement science room tables and chairs.
And I should mention, this is also comes from capital funds as well. Sorry.
Capital, coming from capital funds.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, any questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
The next, the second reading of policy 815.2.
Yes, this is second reading of 815.2 social media. Basically elaborating on definitions of different types of social media. It's a revision of the policy from, I think, 2019. We did not have any further comments after first.
Okay, is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, questions, Dr. Roy? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And I would just like to comment that Mrs. Hennikel's doing an incredible job of organizing this whole process because it gets complicated. 30 days here and 30 days there and when to send something to PSBA. So I appreciate your competency in taking care of this. It's really been a relief. Probably to you too, huh?
Okay, all right, motion carries. Move to RFP for assembly and installation of a global motion spinner at Fairview Elementary School. Fun. Yes.
Okay, what the heck is a global motion?
Yeah, we-
Try it out.
if we show you a picture, I don't know if it'll fit on the screen. It's pretty good size. So the PTO, if I have that right, PTO side, at Fairview has graciously went through a campaign to raise funds for playground equipment. They had 3 phases.
Oh,
This is
I
the
got
third,
you.
I don't want to say final phase, but obviously this is the 3rd phase that we had as a plan.
that's the
as a
thing, you
district
get
plan.
on and get sick. All right.
And so, so typically our PTOs have been very kind in raising the funds to buy the equipment. The district has usually incurred the cost for installation. I will tell you that the installation cost is not small for anything we install anymore because it all has to meet the proper codes. We have to have the proper amount of mulch, rubber mulch for fall height and things of that nature. So we go through a process, we take it out for bid. The good news is this is the company that had that won the last installation and had installed the rubber mulch, but used a different manufacturer for the rubber mulch. If you remember, we had some problems with that rubber mulch. So ultimately, we ended up, that company actually removed that mulch out and then found another manufacturer, went back to it and refilled that in there, all at the original cost. So again, we had a delay certainly in using the equipment for a period of time, but I don't think we've had any more problems since they changed manufacturers. Yeah, I know, I'm sorry, but to me, I have a lot of respect for the company because they really came through and made sure it made it whole and made it correct. And, they really did the right thing. So, again, they are actually the bidder here for this project as well. Again, this is something that can also come from capital funds because it's installation, it's equipment.
These things, playground equipment, you want to make sure you follow all of the engineering rules.
Correct. And to Mr. Hamburger's point, he brought up too, is that the borough actually has a certified playground inspector. And so we've already reached out to them. They'll come out and do the inspection on the equipment to help us out. So to make sure it's being done correctly. Okay.
So a motion is to approve the bid by
So
River
moved.
Valley.
Second.
Any questions?
No, I'm glad we can finally get this 3rd piece in. I think it's probably been, we started this, 2 years ago? So I'm glad. Yep. So.
And I move that the chairman of the facilities committee get the first ride on it.
On
The first board, there you go.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. Yeah,
All right.
Dramamine for me, we'll see.
Okay.
So Megan, just to clear, I was having trouble following this and reading it. The 42,000 includes what? It's not installation for one piece of equipment.
I apologize. I should have put some more notes in there. I think I missed an opportunity to put some notes in. So we're actually requesting the approval of the loose rubber mulch instead of the hard,
Right.
the hard rubber stuff. That was a higher quote for doing it
Okay.
a different way.
Okay.
So basically that would have been putting in more of it would still be a porous bouncing material, but it would have been a different situation, similar to what we have up at Maui, if you remember.
It's
So-
still for one piece of equipment?
Well, it's the 20, the request is for the 21,255. So we're just showing you what the cost would be if we wanted to go down the other path and start
Alright.
changing surfaces.
Thank
So
you.
it almost doubles the cost if we go down that path.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so all those in favor? Any opposed?
What color did you pick? I mean, for the
The mulch, it
The
said
mulch,
black,
not the
didn't it?
mulch.
Black.
There's a slide in here with color
With
choices.
colors,
I'm just
yeah.
gonna-
It's more expensive.
Okay, so committee calendar for 2024-25.
Yes, Mr. Smith, all of you have the calendar there.
Mhm.
Just please take a look at the dates, put them on your calendar. I know Dr. Roy just mentioned about academic is not picking back up again until September, but the other ones are listed on there with, so.
Okay.
I think I just typically budget is the 2nd Monday of the month, and typically facilities is the 3rd Tuesday of the month. So again,
That what's on here?
yes, that's what's on here.
There
So-
is.
Go ahead. The holiday?
Yeah.
I think we've adjusted before for like a holiday or something like that as well. So I'll just say, if you enjoyed Dr. Holtzman presentation earlier, budget is for you. And we welcome all comers.
Is there any way we could, I guess, display like the minute, the meeting dates, right? On the website so that they're kind of, easier for the public to kind of list or identify. Maybe, I don't know, it's just something, because we were talking earlier about, having more engagement, but maybe if it's some way we can, present the dates so that it's easy for them.
They are on the calendar on the website.
Yeah.
So like if you go to the district page and scroll way to the bottom and click on the calendar, they are listed out on the calendar. So if you look at a monthly calendar, it will show you all the committee meetings
Okay.
and it's set up for the whole year.
I don't want to speak for you, but I think, one of the things we've talked about is it would be nice to, when you go onto the website, somewhere have a list of like events, like anywhere, when you talked about a certain tab for that, correct? Because I do think, two things. I think that would help because I don't think people can always find things. And the other thing is too, without having a local newspaper anymore, you talked about promoting this, they used to be our biggest cheerleader. Without having that newspaper, it's a huge disadvantage for the district. Didn't realize how much you appreciated them. Until you didn't have them.
One thing I will mention, Dr. Royer, if somebody does download the application or web app for a phone, they can download that and all of our events will show up right on their calendar on their phone.
Okay, thank you, yes.
How about them apples?
The other thing I'd like to comment on this calendar is December. The board meetings for December are on the 1st and 3rd Tuesday, and that's due to the first meeting of the month having to be within, because it's the
Election.
the reorganization. I
Reorganization,
thought the
yeah.
word wasn't coming to my head, but we have to have that during the first week of December. So that's why we did them on the 1st and the 3rd month in December rather than the 2nd and the 4th.
Dr. DeShong, and I didn't realize we were doing this tonight until this afternoon. I didn't sit on the agenda. I'd like to change policy so it doesn't conflict with your principal's meetings. Have your admin here,
Sure, yeah.
I just think,
We're
Stephanie's gave a heads up. Or thumbs up. And when we picked that first Thursday, I think that was prior to you coming on board and prior to you setting principals meeting. So is there a way to move it to and the first Thursday? Yeah.
How about we do this? How about, can we adjust that? Maybe not tonight. I think we just need to look at, where we want to put those at and then,
Okay.
We weren't
We just have
after
to-
this
we just
one.
have to tell Elizabeth.
okay.
I think, I don't think, if we can keep it at Thursday's fine, if another. To move it from the first to.
Okay. Yeah, we haven't really established, we're gonna meet to establish our principal meetings and we're gonna see if what we're doing works.
Okay, well, we can wait.
Yeah.
How long can we wait? When do you want to okay, Rita's saying like this. Can you communicate with Dr. DeShong when you want that by? Okay.
Good.
'Cause I know it's expensive to change it, because you have to
Yeah.
advertise. I know.
All right, we'll get together.
We'll get with-
Sarah, cool. All right.
Any other comments, questions? Get it in order. Okay, we move to, all school production, 2025.
Yes, this is an informational item. WASH shares their selection for the all-school production in advance with the WASD School Board. And WASH will be performing Willy Wonka.
Right.
Chocolate bars.
Is that your gig there?
But yes, that's the show that we chose.
Anybody watching online, please see
Yeah.
that.
We always do kind of like a grand reveal on the social media stuff for the kids, kind of like get them excited, hyped, but we had kind of met informally as as a crew, across the board, and talked about how we could, theaters, I don't know, me personally, has been a big deal for my family, for many reasons, but we wanted to find a show that, I wanted to find a show that audiences don't really care if they've seen it 400 times, if they know the story, they don't care. And in fact, sometimes that's helpful. And then also something that we could get a lot of kids involved. It's my dream to like just really, I was in the 90s, I was a 90s all school production participant, and my girls have been in it. So I really want to continue the hype and get the kids excited and to do something they are familiar with, and have a show in which a lot of students can be involved, whether they have a large role or they have an ensemble role or they're backstage. There's so many gears that are working with theater that there's so many ways that kids can find themselves, and tell a story. So that was our thought with the show, is that doing something that also gets the community excited and makes them want to come out. There's a lot of ideas for marketing that I have that we can kind of get the kids involved. When they did Matilda a couple years ago, we had a meet and greet with the cast, and that was really neat. They came and they did activities and had chocolate cake, and
It was fun.
so hoping to do something similar that's really kid friendly that would get the community involved.
So Emily, now that I know that you are involved, are you responsible for Claire sending me an email about doing goat yoga? In
So
the
we
ravine between
our
middle school and high
stage
school?
manager has goats, and we were talking about ways to raise funds. Because I'm a go big or go home kind of person. So she brought up the goat yoga. How fun would it be if we did yoga and brought Lexi's goats along and let them? I don't know what that looks like.
I
That was
didn't
a
really
Claire
know.
idea.
I
That
mean,
was-
I had heard it, but I didn't really know it was a
we were
thing.
talking baby goats, and the next thing I know, Claire said goat yoga, and I'm like, yay, yes.
Well, we're gonna go to a class in Gettysburg. I researched it. And now I'm like super curious.
They're cute babies.
Yes.
So.
They are really
So
cute.
we
baby
can do
goats.
it by the new spinny thing at Fairview. It could be aerial yoga then with goat yoga.
We'll go aerial.
So
Ms. Dickey, do you know why goats cannot be alone? There can't be one goat. Do you know this?
I'm really afraid for what you're.
I
gonna
am
say.
actually,
You must have two goats. Do you know this, Mr. Pence?
Yeah, it's herding animals are like that.
Yeah, I mean, one
Flip out
goat,
if there's
one goat, it will bawl and cry because it needs a partner or companion. So if you're gonna get one goat, you need to get two goats.
Two goats.
All right.
That's fun fact.
I'm a dog. I'm horses. Been one of them.
That third one in there, don't work.
And you need a rock. I think you need a rock too, or like a higher place for them to be in.
Yeah.
good.
We'll talk
Yeah.
about goat yoga, Emily.
Right, and please feel free to use our platform here to advertise the production, even like a little short skit for community. Yes, yes, yes.
It'll be in March again, correct? Okay, so maybe one of our February meetings, we could have yep.
Welcome, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that really helped, I think.
Thank you. And next, financial business with tax collectors, and let's just combine all three.
Yes, sir. So we have deputy tax collectors. We appoint those as a district. Again, it's always a good practice. Years ago, they did not have this requirement. So we do have the requirement out of a deputy tax collector that can take over. We also have a couple exonerations there from the old per capita and occupation tax, as well as the purchase orders and bills for payment for the general and the cafeteria.
So do we have a motion to approve?
Approve.
Second.
It sounds like we're ready to go. All right, any questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Okay. Clayton, comments, anything extra?
I just want to
Yeah.
state, as the year winds down, things ramp up. So I don't know if you know that or not. It's not like when things are, it only ramps up towards the end of the year. So just a kudos to all of our administrators, our teachers, and just everything. There's all these moving parts going on and happening. And again, it's keeping all the the ball's in the air and this plate spinning, and our folks are doing a great job. So just kudos to all of them. I also want to mention too, I know our grade level coordinators for elementary weren't on for this evening, but we're kind of in the process of wrapping some of that up. So they should be on the for the board approval for next time around. And then I also wanted to mention too, we have a paraprofessional a conference plan for our folks in-house in the district. We want to show them that they're valued and important, and we want to provide them with opportunity for time for professional learning. That's on July 25th, so.
Okay, thank you, sir. Board comments, anyone?
I have a question. It just occurred to me the other day, back when I subbed 14 years ago, I think I was in the schools almost every day in the month of May because everybody was using up their vacation. How has the ESS and the filling, it's been months since we've heard anything about how it's hard to get substitutes and teachers have to fill in or principals have to fill in. Has it been going well this spring with having enough substitutes to cover absences?
So I can tell you this, ESS actually sends out a report to us. So Melissa Funk sends all of us. I saw you, I'm sorry, Mr. So what I'm pulling it up right now.
I have it up. Do you want me to?
Oh, you have, oh,
Well, I can't put it up, but I have it on my screen.
so it's actually not too bad.
Hasn't been bad? Okay.
They've been doing a pretty good job.
In the month of April, our lowest fill rate was 86% in one of the schools.
Okay.
Right, well, that really helped.
So it's been pretty good?
Buildings.
Okay.
Yeah, and like, yeah, I think you said, like, we have the classroom monitors and the building subs that we have. That's been incredibly helpful too.
Okay.
Rate is down too. Saying the absentee rate is down. It translated.
Any other board comments? Yeah.
Actually, I want to thank Megan, your students.
Mhm,
I mean, they did
It
an
was awesome.
excellent job. Yes.
Oh.
Good.
giving them
Mhm.
pretty shy kids for the most part.
mhm.
Couple of them, there's getting it, so I think they were excited about it.
Well, and I love the fact that they mentioned their failures because they've learned from their failures. You know, it's what a valuable concept.
Well, if I recall from one of my psychology classes, that public speaking is the #1 fear of most people.
Yeah, I want to thank all of the board members. The board, whenever you go to an event, no matter if it's like during the day, evening, maybe weekends, you usually have some board members there. And I don't know if it's like that in other places, in other districts or whatever, but I really appreciate my fellow board members and being attentive and being engaged board members. Although not everyone here has worked in the field of education, everyone makes a concerted effort to do research and do the best they can with the information that they have. So I appreciate everybody's efforts along those lines. So next we move, if there's nothing else, let's move to adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
No move.
All in favor?
That was quick.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.